What's up, guys? Happy Monday. I forgot to fix the bear transition, so now it's just like swiping, which is cool. But we got the bear transition. We're not even using it. Why? Why have it? I'm just kidding. What's up, guys? I hope you guys are having a good Monday. It's January 23rd, 2023. Been a little bit since we did a stream here, a week. Every time I get back into the swing of things, man, life is just like, yeah, but maybe chill for a second. But it looks like this week we should be free every afternoon to go live. So if you guys want to grind it with me this week, looks like a good week, man. How are you guys doing? Shout out to the live chat, Brad, Chester, Ducking, Colin, Dang Lazy Mofo, Anthony, man, you guys are the best for being here before everybody else. There's going to be more, but you guys were the first, so you guys are the best. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend if you grinded the NFL streets. If you had a team in the hunt, I was out of town yesterday for a wrestling event in Austin, and everyone there, we were having wrestling competitions, and then the Cowboys game was on the back screen, so it's just seeing the live heartbreak of all the Cowboys fans was kind of entertaining, but it is what it is, man. Hopefully you guys had a good, profitable weekend for NFL, and if your team is still in the mix, man, good luck to you guys. We have a bunch of games tonight for NBA, so we're going to spend the next hour and a half researching it game by game, go through some of the news that we have, news that we might get, and try and find our favorite FanDuel, DraftKings, and a couple of PrizePicks plays. So if you guys have already done some research, share your picks with the class as we go game by game, what you like, what you don't like, and hopefully we can create ourselves a pretty strong and powerful player pool, right? What's up, Danger? Chances of Memphis sitting Ja and Adams. I don't know. We'll look at to see if there's a pulse on that for Ja and Steven Adams. Let me see. I don't have him questionable, so I don't know. Usually right at the live button, we get news from Underdog. Yeah, key news to watch via Underdog. What's up, Self? Hope you're doing all right. LaMelo Ball, questionable. Rudy Gobert, questionable. Robert Williams, questionable. Giannis, probable. Chris Middleton, probable. Jabari, questionable. Killian Hayes, questionable. And Jonathan Isaac, expected to be available to make his debut. So nothing out there that would suggest that Ja and Steven Adams would be rest candidates, but if you heard something I didn't. We're going to pop open the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. You see it on the screen today. 20% off every VIP membership with the coupon code, what is that? Jan23. So today's day, right? Yeah, that works out. We'll talk more in depth in that about what that entails in a little bit. But yeah. Bowl sleeper center. All right, game number 1, Bucks at the Pistons. Project starting 5 for the Bucks. Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen. Wow. Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez up against Killian Hayes, Jaden Ivey, Sadiq Bey, Bojan Bogdanovic, Jalen Duren. We got 237.5 total for this one. 11-point spread in favor of the visiting Milwaukee Bucks. Couple of news and notes to clean up. Looks like we just saw that Giannis expected to play. Let's open up the Sports Edge depth chart. I like this page for quick blurbs, quick reference blurbs. Chris Middleton probable, Giannis probable, and then for the Pistons side, we had, who are we looking for? Hayes, Killian Hayes information. So let's go back up to Detroit. Did you guys catch that trade? Rui Hachimura heading to LA in exchange for Kendrick Nunn, some picks. What do you guys think about that? It's one of those weird ones. Killian Hayes questionable. Left shoulder contusion with the Pistons playing their most recent game in Paris. Hayes has not been in action since Thursday night. He's left-handed, so the shoulder injury has potential to be problematic. So that is something that is somewhat significant for projections. If he can't go, certainly would create a path to perhaps some more Alec Burks, some Corey Joseph. Burks being the more interesting permanent option for me, and we'll see how that would cycle down that starting lineup. It is something we have seen in the last month, so we would have some point of reference to go off of. Perhaps nothing to get too excited about. However, Alec Burks at 4,500 on DraftKings, if he were to be implied for a few more minutes in the potential absence of Killian Hayes, I think that would stand out pretty well. Sizable total, double-digit spread here. Giannis Antetokounmpo, always somebody that's going to be a perennial candidate to lead the slate in fantasy points. Why can't I see my tab for projections? Let me move that screen up a little bit more. There we go. Player projections. Here we go. I had him as top 2 right now. I have Tatum spiked a lot more. I think it's because Tatum has more a higher minute projection for me. But if you guys saw a path that Detroit keeps this competitive, certainly Giannis is somebody that if he fell into 36, 37 minutes, could certainly push 60, 70 DraftKings points. So somebody that I think we meditate on. Obviously, I tend to be more not going to say contrarian, but I tend to not lean on Giannis as much as I feel like everyone else does, and sometimes it burns me, but I think in this scenario he's appropriately priced. It's a double-digit spread. I think I'm going to find paths to making up those points elsewhere. I'm going to be in on Giannis, but I probably wouldn't be like egregiously in on Giannis. Now that everyone's back, Drew Holiday's overpriced for his role. I do love point guards against Detroit. However, this price point, can't really expect him to pay off this price point a large portion of the time with Middleton and with Giannis back. So I'm pretty sour on the Bucks as a DFS team to be exposed to tonight, and I might get in on some Pistons if we saw some movement on Hayes being down and a guy like Alec Burks, who would benefit from not only Hayes being down, but perhaps positive game script where they need some of their firecrackers off the bench that can put up points in a quick burst. Alec Burks, that guy for me. So if I ended up with just Alec Burks from this game, when the dust settled, it wouldn't surprise me. I do think Bojan Bogdanovic has a case to be involved at 30-plus fantasy points, just kind of what I've peppered him in for. So stocking stuff for tier 3 guy for me, but I don't see any tier 1s, perhaps not even any tier 2s in this game from this far out. Let's get caught up on chat. Rui ain't bad. I don't think Rui fixes any of their problems, plugs any of their leaks. I think the Lakers have always needed some perimeter scoring, and Rui's not that. Not hating on Rui as a player, but as far as team needs and what you want to go out there and trade for and start spending some draft equity, I don't know that Rui was the answer, but hey, doing something's better than doing nothing, I suppose. I thought John Adams had been sitting back-to-backs, just didn't know where to find that information. Ja? I don't think neither one of them were sitting specifically because of back-to-backs. Perhaps they have sat a recent back-to-back, but I don't think I don't feel like the 4th and the 5th Ja played, the 31st and the 1st Ja played. Yeah, And Steven Adams is freaking Iron Man. So there might have been a situation where they were injured and they were working on that. But, yeah, 4th into 5th, 31st. So I don't think they're on any specific rest plan. Not those two. But, hey, man, we'll keep an eye out on that. What's up, Wayne's World? Hope you're doing all right. Thoughts on Diallo? Ham Diallo? Is that just like straight up, or if Killian Hayes was down? Sure. I think if we buy into like a blowout in the fourth quarter, guys like Diallo, Burks make enough sense at their price point that they could get there. I probably don't want too much overlap between the two, but you could see a roadway to success. But it would just be spin the wheel, make a deal, stocking stuff. I'd be more into Burks at a high investment in terms of ownership equity than Diallo, but I wouldn't push back on either. Matter of fact, I say that Diallo has a slightly better projection, so I think they're both in play. I just probably don't have a ton of overlap between them, so we'll stagger that. What up, Ego? Hope you're doing all right. So I was about the hoop tonight. Last two versus Kings, over 52 fantasy points. Coming off 2 bad L's against the Lakers and the Suns. Yeah, good spot. You need a lot of offense against the Kings, so I don't hate it. Continuing on with the other 7 p.m. games. So if I've got this right, there's 2 games at lock, and then we're chilling for an hour. Then there's 2 games, then we're chilling for another hour. 1 game, chilling for an hour. So we only have 1 game on that 30-minute mark, and that's the last game. So interestingly spaced out, I guess. Which I'm cool with that. Gives us a break after lock. Celtics project starting 5, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford. Robert Williams taking on Markelle Fultz, Gary Harris, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr., 230 total. 8-point spread in favor of the visiting Boston Celtics. Do got some notes to clean up. Robert Williams questionable, Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart out. Robert Williams, something that we certainly should pay closer attention to because his absence does switch up that front court a little bit. He's dealing with left knee injury management, and he's questionable. So I believe we have seen an instance, wow, that train is loud, where they just push Horford to the 5, Grant Williams in the mix as well. So that might be the lineup here. What was... let's just go to Celtics rotation, I guess. Şengün over 29.5 PR is a lock if Rudy's misses. I like Şengün. All right, so Robert Williams went down in the second quarter, didn't touch the court in the third quarter, and then in his spot we saw Luke Cornett start, or in the second half. Didn't touch the court in the fourth quarter. Grant Williams filled in. For some reason I feel like Luke Cornett is not gonna start, but I guess that is a range of outcome here. But I'd probably expect something that involves Grant Williams, Tatum, Horford pushing down a little bit. But I guess I'll tell you what, with the shortage of guards that they got there, maybe that they have to. So I guess they could get fishy with a Cornett or a Blake Griffin, something like that. Hopefully they don't. I've got Grant Williams already baked in for 30 minutes. Peyton Pritchard's pushing high 20s. He's a guy that stands out to me as a guy that I love to play when I get the opportunity. We don't get that opportunity because he's always in the shallow or the deep end of the pool, while guys like Brogdon and Smart and Derek White. So we saw him play 26 minutes against Toronto, 21 fantasy points. I think he could be, 0.8 fantasy point per minute, maybe something like that. Let's see what his standalone rate is. But I do think there's opportunity here for Peyton Pritchard, especially since we do have an 8-point spread. So there's still a little bit of a door creeped open if the Celtics showed up and became the Celtics. So Pritchard as is, 0.81 fantasy point per minute on DraftKings. So that's not terrible. Certainly could be better, could be worse. But with how short they are at guard, I kind of like Peyton Pritchard in my back pocket tonight for some value. So we'll take Brogdon, we'll take Smart off. I don't think we're gonna have much sample to fix stuff, but it does push them up to 0.9 fantasy points per minute, even a little bit better. So yeah, I think I'm gonna like Peyton Pritchard in my back pocket here. Lots from the Celtics that gonna make a lot of sense here. I ended up getting a really deep minute projection on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, which is why I got Tatum slightly edging out Giannis, because I've got him for like 7 more minutes than Giannis right now, and that means I might get some more Tatum than Giannis. Typically a spot all year long where I am responsible with overlap between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but I think today, circumstantially, especially if Robert Williams goes down, I think I'm okay with, like, especially on FanDuel with the 11K Tatum and an 8.4K Brown. If they overlap, they overlap, and I just hope they combine for like 100 plus fantasy points. And I think that's not super unrealistic if we live up to this minute projection. Let's just do some on and offing here just to kind of make. What if we can get Robert Williams off? Gary Harris fell off. Yeah, 1.43 to 1.3. So yeah, I would take both of those production rates. Obviously, that's on a smaller minute sample, so over the course of some more sample size, it could fluctuate. But I fully expect those guys to produce over a fantasy point per minute. I'm getting crazy projections. So it's a weird day where I might wake up and stack the Boston Celtics, something I typically never do. Orlando Magic, no one here is screaming at me in terms of running back to all of the Celtics I plan on playing. And it's more so just because they're so healthy versus the stretch we had earlier this season. They could be 10, 11 deep today, especially if Jonathan Isaac does get involved here. So no one's going to scream as like a tier 1, tier 2 opportunity. On DraftKings, I think there's a little bit more of a chance for Markelle Fultz at 6.1K versus that 7.4K on FanDuel to make use from. Franz Wagner, somebody that obviously can hit this price point, but none of these guys are going to be front and center, warm or fuzzy clicks for me. So if you are trying to fill out a portfolio for like 150 lineups, I think the prices on Wagner, Carter, Fultz make the back end of the player pool, but I'd be kind of surprised if I was over 5-6% on any of those guys individually, and then I'd probably set some stringent rules to prevent overlap, if that makes sense. What about you guys? Any Magic love here? And do you guys share the Celtics attraction? Does Memphis really have the best defense in the league? Does that even matter? Does defense matter? I think so. As far as team metrics go, refer to the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. Memphis definitely does have the best defensive rating in basketball. But in context of today, Sacramento has the number 2 offense, so unstoppable force and movable object. We'll get to more of that later, but it certainly matters that their defense is good, especially when it's like a 10-point gap between them and the worst defense. But it's sometimes overrated, right? A lot of people will miss out on high usage players because of the matchup. So you have to find a balance, but yes, Memphis really does have the best defense. Peyton Pritchard under 8 G's. Is Peyton Pritchard under 8 G's? What does that mean? I either want to go all in on Brown Tatum together or fade and try my luck with Williams Pritchard in lineups tonight. Robert Williams or Grant Williams? I'm assuming Grant Williams. But I mean, I don't feel like you have to make such dramatic stances, and like you would be surprised if one of Brown and Tatum were a great play and the other one was an average play. So I don't think I'm gonna force myself to stand on specific heels here. I think I'm just gonna like having Celtics exposure tonight. And if I had lineups with Tatum, Brown, and like a Peyton Pritchard, I probably wouldn't lose sleep. Because I don't know that it's super negatively correlated. Just everyone on the Celtics projects so well for me. All right, let's move on to the next game. Hawks at the Bulls. Project starting five for the Hawks: Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Clint Capella, taking on Ayo Dosunmu, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams, and Nikola Vucevic. We got a 239 total, and the Bulls favored by 1. Noticed this morning when I was just looking at some prices that, man, Zach LaVine 9.6K, DeRozan 9K, and Vucevic 9K. Now we're really at a point where it feels like we can't get too invested in the big three. Typically this season I've kind of set a rule to where I only want or not to have more than 2 of the 3 in the same lineup. Sometimes 1 of the 3, but now I feel even more obligated to make a decision like that because it does seem unlikely that they would all coexist for tournament optimal at 9K a piece, right? 50 fantasy points probably is something that you're going to want back at a price point like that for each of them. And I don't know how often we can get 2 guys combined, 50 plus. So I might get to a point where I only get 1 of the 3. The pushback, the caveat here is it's a pretty doggone good matchup and it's a tight spread. So if it were to happen to where 2 of these guys popped off, like a LaVine or a Vuce, something like that, I think a matchup like this certainly could create an opportunity like that. So I still think right now, from this far out, I'd probably go 1 of the 3 in a group in Fantasy Cruncher and let it rip. But I might have to meditate that on a little bit, and maybe I'll just do something like where I don't know. Let's go put some actual stats on that, so I'm not just like going off a gut here. LaVine. What's the best tourney for beginners to enter with the $100 bankroll? If you're a true beginner, the best tournament would be the beginner tournament. If FanDuel has a really nice tournament selection for true beginners to DFS. Even the payout structure is really good. So if you can get access to those type of contests, that's 100% where you should be. 105, 105, 104. So, shoot, they're all a point per minute, but, man, it just feels unlikely that we get... I'm torn between 1 of 3 and 2 of 3, but I know for dang sure I'm not getting 3 of 3 for the big 3 here. On the Hawks side, attackable price points, Trae Young, 9,500. The projection coming back almost at 50. I could take that. And we're seeing a nice run out of DeJounte here during this stretch. And at just 8,500, 4 of his last 5 games have been just fine at this price point. So I think DeJounte is certainly somebody that's in the pool and taking on a larger scoring role as of late as well. 20-plus shot attempts last 2 games, 17-plus shot attempts last 5 games. So somebody picking up some more responsibility offensively against the Bulls. I can get behind that. And if we go to the advanced chart here for the Hawks, DeJounte's rocking a 37% three-point field goal percentage on 5.5 attempts per game. So he's second on the team in three-point attempts. And the matchup against the Bulls when it comes to three-point defense is attackable. If we go pull up the team metrics chart, opponent scoring, three-point attempts per game. Chicago's allowing the 4th most three-point attempts per game. The 2nd most makes and three-point field goal percentage is top 6 as well. So for one reason or another, they are funneling a lot of success from the 3 ball to opposing teams. So if DeJounte got to be taking these threes like he is, right, this aggressive scoring load, as of late. I think it's a good spot for him. And the same with DeAndre Hunter. My boy Rod's been hyping up DeAndre Hunter. Big 3 and D, right? Another guy that can maybe get us some shots from behind the arc here. 5'7", 3, 4, 5. Not a ton, but enough that I might be more receptive to Hunter than I have been. But it's a new thing, and I think it's only because Raj has been in my ear about him. Front court, I'm staying away from the Hawk side. With Capella grinding back in the mix, Okongwu's there. I think against Vucevic, I'm going to take my chances on a game where we don't get a ceiling game out of those guys in the front court. So give me a mix of Trae Young and DeJounte. I'll meditate on Hunter. If I don't get there, I don't get there. And then Bogdanovich, somebody I can probably sneak in at low levels, but DeJounte and Trae Young. And I do think there's a case to be made that DeJounte and Trae Young at these prices on both sides can coexist. I know they haven't necessarily been, but I think if we split 90 fantasy points between the two, we'd want closer to 100. I don't think I would be stunned if that's how that kind of shook out. Let's see, 2 games against the Bulls this season. 48 fantasy points for Trae Young. So at 9,700, that's not like staggering, but it wouldn't cripple you. And then DeJounte at 35. So I don't know that I go out of my way to set a stringent rule to prevent those two from landing together. So we'll see. Let's get caught up on chat. DeRozan, good prize tonight on FanDuel, in my opinion. A good prize on FanDuel, in my opinion. A good pick. On FanDuel, yeah. Oh, a good price. Good price. Yeah. Much better price. Really for all three. Like on DraftKings, I'm having to think about what kind of rules to set on FanDuel. Yeah, AK for DeRozan, certainly something that you could net 40 plus. I'm getting about 46 on the projection there, so yeah, that's a really good price. If is he still he's guard and forward, right? I like that. DeRozan on FanDuel only, and Vooch on DK are my favorites. How's Levine? 9,600 is wild to me. Yeah, that's a price point. Levine was sitting at the 8K range for the longest. A big scoring burst, though. I mean, he's still a guy averaging over 24 points per game, and as of late, been picking up a lot of slack. So I get it. He's involved, and the usage is there, and it's a plus spot, game script and defensively. But yes, 9,600 is quite the leap from what we were paying for Levine for really the whole season. It's hard to get to. What up, Crispy? What up, Steve? We're doing all right. Doesn't Hunter usually run the bench unit? DeAndre Hunter? I want to say that's more of a Bogdanovich role, but we can verify this. Running the bench unit is probably a little stretchy. Let's see. The bench. It's not really a bench unit. Looking at this. Man, some of these games are not populating. There we go. I don't think so. I think the way their minute rotation reads is that Trae Young and DeJounte, one of the two are always on the court. So I would assume that no one's usurping them when it comes to running a second unit. Bogdan might not play. Let's get the Bogdan info. Wait, I don't have Bogdan with a tag. Self. Not on the injury report for Monday's game against the Bulls. So if he didn't play, it would be something that we're bracing for this far out. All right, let's move on. Timberwolves at the Houston Rockets. Project starting 5 for the T-Wolves. D'Angelo Russell crossing over with Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Kyle. The Andersons got tickets to the game? How'd they get tickets? Rudy Gobert up against Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Kenyon Martin, Jabari Smith, Alperen Sengun. We got 234 total. 5.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Minnesota Timberwolves. We do have some news and notes to clean up. Obviously, Cat still down. Tarin Prince, Gobert, Bryn Forbes all have tags on them. And Gobert's obviously the most interesting one. See what's the skibby on him. Yo, Slim, appreciate that follow, man, or that sub. Appreciate you. If you're out there lurking, you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that sub button, man. Be part of the fun. Right groin soreness for Gobert still. Tarin Prince, questionable. Sprained left ankle. And then Bryn Forbes, questionable. Not really that significant. Dealing with an illness. If Gobert can't go, Naz Reid becomes somebody that's in a super saiyan smash spot. And he'll probably, once again, be 70% owned. So hopefully that news comes pretty quickly. This is a game that locks an hour after lock, or tips an hour after lock. So maybe they'll help us out and give us that information quite early. And then if Gobert played at 6,800 on FanDuel, I mean, this is starting to become, you got to pay attention to a price. And I know he's been consistently inconsistent all year long, but we have seen spike games, and a team like the Houston Rockets can produce those spike games. And even then, if he just gave us a run-of-the-mill 30-plus fantasy points, that's something you could utilize at 6,800. I would assume that it's not always going to be super optimal, but a 40-plus, a 50-plus, very, very possible here. And a team like the Rockets, and I know Kevin Porter Jr. is down, a team like the Rockets do net more defensive peripherals. If we go to the team metrics chart, man, I feel like I'm losing my voice, which would not be optimal. Kind of need that thing. Blocks allowed per game, Houston allowed the most, and then steals per game. No, that's not it. I gotta. The blocks is a pretty important one. I gotta remember to fix that tab for the Rocket steals allowed. So either way, I'm gonna be in on a Timberwolves center. The price is gapped large enough to where I'd probably have to have some other compensatory moves in my lineups, but I'd be probably invested in both. I would be more interested in Naz Reid than Gobert, like straight up right now, just because of the price discount. But yeah, I think if Gobert was ruled in, I think people might not be that interested in him, and the matchup's fine. So I'm in on that. Kyle Anderson, unfortunately, it's been a great click, 6,300. Good spot for him to continue this stretch. I like him more if Gobert were to miss. And then I do want to at least make note that Naz Reid is top 6 in the league in fouls per 36. So he does come with some bust potential, especially if he's going to go against an active front court, maybe Jabari Smith and Sengun. There is some foul proneness there, and we saw that rear its ugly head in his last opportunity at starting, I believe. But the upside, the point per minute production in the hopeful chance that he's not foul trouble is just crazy. This would be a massive 40, 50 fantasy point opportunity for him. So big spot for him. Anthony Edwards also looming as a guy that I think could have some ceiling. I think when we were looking at this slate from a quick glance, right, there's a easy path to loading up on Celtics and maybe even Damian Lillard against the worst defense, stuff like that. Start thinking outside the box a little bit. Anthony Edwards, I think, has a lot more volatility than some. But if he ended up being a top 4 fantasy scorer tonight, are you surprised? No. 71 fantasy points against this very same matchup last time out. Maybe because of that, he'll have a little bit more point chasers on him. But his usage is still ridiculously high. And he does so much. 3 blocks, 3 steals, and those, especially on a FanDuel scope. Bing bong.
Craig L. super chatted $9.99.
Man, I appreciate you, Craig. Shout out to you. Thank you, sir. Dude, my voice is just... Frederick Lundy. Appreciate that sub, man. Welcome to the channel. But I think Anthony Edwards could do well. Matter of fact, let me look at something. A scope. Gotta go fishing, bro. I haven't been fishing since I lived in Huntsville. Which, man, we might be pushing 10 years. Shark, you fish? You be fishing near Waco? I don't even know where the fishing spots are. I was one of those people that I love fishing, but I sucked at it. But I'd be happy, like if I sat at the lake all day and didn't catch nothing. No, I wouldn't lose any sleep. I just have a blast to be out there. Anthony Edwards, yeah, not a ton of ownership on Anthony Edwards, so I'd be okay with that. Nas Reed has been flopping at 60% ownership every night this week. Yeah, Ego, I'm with you. I'm very empathetic to that, and I think that would be something where the ownership. Hey, you make a stand, you make a stand, and like I said, I think the path to failure for Nas Reed against the Rockets, in my opinion, is strictly fouls. Like, there's no other way, or injuries, knock on wood, but it strictly would be foul proneness. Otherwise, he's going to produce at a really solid point per minute. So, if he came in, like, if we got Gobert down now and we started seeing Nas Reed at 60-70% and you wanted to just take a bold stand, go the other way, I wouldn't fault you. I think that's, a reasonable approach. But from a projection standpoint, if you put 25 minutes on Nas Reed against the Houston Rockets, he's going to obliterate that price in any model. So sometimes you just got to have a goldfish memory. All right, let me get caught up on chat. There's a lot of chatting that I missed. What up, Jake? Hope you're doing all right. Jake Swallows. What up, Doug? Gun with a DBZ reference? What is this world going to? Hey, man. DBZ, what is that? Are you talking about the Super Saiyan? That's the guy from Fortnite. They put him in Fortnite, so I had to learn about him a little bit. Drew Holiday over 7.5 assists. With the whole gang back together, maybe. The spread has me more spooked than anything, but let's see. Does he still have a 30% assist rate with Giannis and Middleton? And I mean, fish everywhere in North Texas, so relaxing if you don't catch anything. You're in Waxahachie next week. Let's go. 26er Drew Holiday is 67 minutes. I guess with this team you could run it to the beginning of last season because it's essentially the same core. Just to see if we should see some positive progression. Dame's going off. Yeah, I like Dame. Is that Texas weather right now? Cold in the morning? Dude, I literally... So, guys, I was up for 24 hours yesterday. I woke up at midnight on Saturday, right? And I just stayed up throughout the day. I had to go out of town for a wrestling event in Austin. And then I got in, and I probably laid down at 12:31. And it was like, okay, it was like 50 degrees. I woke up at 9 a.m., not because I wanted to wake up, because I was freezing. My teeth were chattering. I was cold. So I had to get up and turn the heat on. I was like, I've been up. I might as well just stay up. And then, I look down now, and it says it's 55 degrees. So it's getting better. Like, I can deal with 50 to 70 without having to deal with the heat or whatnot. But, man, that sucked, man. I was sleeping good. I was all sore. I'm all sore now, bro. Long day. But yeah, that Texas weather is very bipolar. Machine gun on this Dory Funk. God, what you know about Dory Funk? All right, so since the beginning of last year, Drew Holiday's assist rate 23%. So as far as the number being 7.5, that's probably not a line that I would feel very comfortable with. At least not the over, just because of the assist rate not really being what you think it would be. Like, it's pretty spread out. They all tend to be on the right end of the pass. So let's move that back to this season. Let's get back to where we were. On the Rocket side, so in the absence of Kevin Porter Jr., and then we should make note that Jabari Smith had a tag on him. Questionable. What's up, AO? AOD? Questionable, Jabari Smith. All right. So let's get some numbers on the Rockets here. We got to add the humidity. It's dry cold as fudge. Is it that? I don't know. I don't know weather like that, y'all. I'm an old man, but I don't do old man stuff. Let's take off KPJ. Dude, you ain't lying, Shark. I wonder if there's like how I literally use my heater and my AC sometimes in the same day for the central air. It doesn't make no sense. Jalen Green, 32.6% usage rate without Kevin Porter Jr. About a fantasy point per minute. Sometimes you might expect that to be higher, just thinking out loud, but it's not. Sengun is your guy at 1.3 fantasy point per minute on both FanDuel and DraftKings. He's just a matter of get the minutes, play the minutes, and he's going to kill it. Was my favorite play last year, and now he's starting to flourish, and because of that, he's starting to become much more expensive. But man, what a stretch he's on, including 57 fantasy points against the same T-Wolves team in which he got 37 minutes. So what's helping that? I believe we had let's look at their rotation. There was a Jayshawn Tate suspension, right? Got that feeling in your bad knee that Dosunmu gets 28 plus fantasy points. Be my lone cheap play of the day. All right, okay. What do I got Dosunmu at? Him and like Caruso always project well, but they never. Yeah, I'm not getting a massive one, but hey, go with your gut. We don't have that snowmageddon like last year. Oh my god, I enjoyed that. In a way, I was very unprepared for it, and I ended up eating like dry noodles for a week. Not dry, but no, just butter noodles for a week. But I love snow. Yo, Anthony, I appreciate that sub, man. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're doing good. I love this. I just love snow. Like if it wasn't for how planted I am, family, friends, wrestling, I would love to move to a snow climate area because it's just beautiful. So when I opened my door and I just saw blankets of snow for a week, I was in heaven. Rest of the state couldn't handle it, and power was going out, all that stuff. But yeah. So in that last game, Sengun, Tate did play. Sengun just straight up 37 minutes, so good for them. Earlier this year, he was getting griefed by like Bruno Fernando, Usman Garuba, but yeah, he's grown into a role here. I think 8,400. Yeah, the price is right. Perhaps it's a little too right. Maybe it's efficient straight up, but I do think he's a guy I just love playing, so I'll probably still play him. But I need that 40 plus. So we are trusting that the Houston Rockets continue to do this and let Sengun cook. But I'm gonna have someone. It would be tier 3 throw at that price. And Jalen Green, same. I think he's not as good as we think he should be without KPJ, but I do think a fantasy point per minute with potential of 30% usage. What was the official usage on that? 32. A 32% usage rate is going to hit eventually. Let's see. 57. Boy, if that is not the Jalen Green experience, I don't know what is. 10, 57, 34. So, tier 3. Spin it. Good luck. Right? Machine gun is on this. Oh, wait, I got to scroll down here. Everyone's power is off. Is minus 15 or turn power. So I, by the grace of God, my power never went off. So I guess that's why it was a little bit more enjoyable for me. I was really, really fortunate to not. But yeah, it sucks. But like we see power go off for days at a time in this state with storms and whatnot. But yes, if you're prepared for it, I love snow. Somebody doesn't know what to do when the weather isn't perfect. Same, Josh. And it's, I'll tell you what, Texas probably gets one snow like once a year. Not like 6 feet of snow, but like when I lived in Dallas, once a year, some flurries, some iced up. And it's just like everyone loses their mind. And we're like renting trucks from Oklahoma or something, snow trucks. I couldn't drive to my job. My power's off for a week. I've told this story before, but that week, so me and my girl were here, and I live so like unprepared. Like I DoorDash and Instacart, and I never checked the weather to like realize that it was gonna be like that, like that. So my cabinets were empty, bro, empty, and there was no delivery. All the stores were closed. The delivery apps are up. So we were out here eating. We were eating like noodles without sauce, right? That's all we had. So the first day, my boy hit me up. He was like, "Yo, Gun, I'm on the road. You want me to pick you up something?" I was like, "Man, I don't even think there's anything to be picked up." And we're talking like 6 days into just eating nothing, and I found out Domino's Pizza was open, and I was like, "I'm gonna order some Domino's." I'm not exaggerating. I ordered $80 worth of Domino's Pizza. and that's what we ate for that weekend. We just had stacks of pizza and whatever, and I was never so glad to eat junk food in my life than I was after eating 5 days of just noodles. But it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun if you were safe. Green got 7 fantasy points in 32 minutes last game. Yeah, and that's the volatility part, but the 32% usage should hold up. So it's going to have positive results eventually. So, but that's not a, like, if you guys are 20 or less entry players, that's probably not a risk that I feel like you would have to take. But I think if you're filling out a deeper portfolio, and make the mix. Good pizza choice. Yeah. I think I saved that receipt or that screenshot somewhere, bro. Like, they must have been like, who the freak orders this much pizza, man? It was good, though. It was good. It, like, if I had that same order today, like, the food was probably underwhelming. But that day, boy, that pizza was just the best meal I ever had. Yeah. All right, Hornets at the Jazz. Project starting 5 for the Hornets. LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, P.J. Washington, and Mason Plumlee taking on Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, Malik Beasley, Larry Markkinen, Walker Kessler, Ranger, 240.5 total. 8-point spread for the Utah Jazz. So we got ourselves a beefy total. We do need to keep an eye on LaMelo Ball's status. I believe... I think Underdog just listed him as questionable too. So he was helped off the court the other night. Sprained left ankle, sore left wrist. And I would assume those type of injuries lingering like that for a team that, like, that they're in the position that they're in, I would probably lean closer to out than in, but that would just be purely speculation. Any different blurbage from DK? Have you guys seen anything on LaMelo? It's slightly encouraging that he's questionable against Utah after being labeled as doubtful. So I still lean closer to out than in. And when that has happened, when you're hungry, it don't matter, bro. You ain't never lying. If you live in Las Colinas, then you should have a bunch of neighborhood ponds that hold monster fish. I actually think way back in the day I did fish some random gated community lake, and they like loaded up. You know what I'm saying? Like they purposely loaded up. So in that last game, we saw Terry Rozier, Jalen McDaniels, Gordon Hayward. So we saw a different lineup than maybe some of you guys might have expected. Dennis Smith Jr. still was rewarded with 27 minutes of play, still closed out. And then you look at the game that LaMelo Ball went down. Dennis Smith Jr. immediately came in. So I guess the question is, Dennis Smith Jr., is this somebody that we want to get to at a big clip, even as a non-starter? I think that for me, the answer is probably yes. Would like, obviously, a higher output here. But I think in this type of total, at that price on DraftKings, I think I get to it a decent bit. Maybe not like a core value, but I do think I could see myself getting to a decent chunk of DSJ at that price point. 5,600 on FanDuel, whatever. Not really that interested. And then if LaMelo played, I don't think he will. I think he's closer to out just from a gut instinct. But this is certainly, like if he were rolled in midway through the slate, certainly somebody that no one's going to have, right? A lot of that money is already, dedicated towards the Trae Youngs, the down payments on Jason Tatum's, the Jaylen Brown, stuff like that. And if you think about this game without, like if LaMelo was just straight up in without any type of injuries, a 240.5 total against the Utah Jazz, LaMelo would be one of the higher-owned guards on the slate. So perhaps if you have the risk tolerance to set aside some LaMelo lineups, do it. And I do think you have an opportunity here, at least on DraftKings, to maybe even turn some Damian Lillard into LaMelo or vice versa later on the night when that news does come out. So just something to think about from a riskier tournament standpoint. And then Terry Rozier, AK, looking for 40+. Utah Jazz matchup should kind of net that. And then on the Jazz side, with Kelly Olynyk still down, something I've been saying for all year, and then last week we kind of had a sample size start to develop. Walker Kessler is not Kelly Olynyk on defense, so it does kind of funnel a little bit more shots, mid and long range, which is another burst for LaMelo and Rozier and whatnot. I love that $5,800 price tag for Walker Kessler on DraftKings. I like it a lot. If we go to our team DVP chart in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, Charlotte's allowing the most fantasy points per game this season to opposing centers. Yeah, that's the Utah Jazz are too, but like I said, a lot of that is Kelly Olynyk based. And then at $5,800, man, I think that 30 fantasy point projection is just really, really solid, and I think we can even get more out of him. I think the FanDuel price is going to be hard to get behind, but because he's such a block-centric defensive stat getter, I understand it, but it's just kind of like, at that point, if I'm going to pay up for a little bit more uneasy, I probably just go get Şengün, whose use is going to be slightly higher, and minute projection as of late is going to be slightly higher. But that $5,800 tag on DraftKings, I like that very, very much. Where is Charlotte at in blocks allowed lately? Not that it matters for Kessler. Charlotte's given up the most blocks per game, so that's right up the alley for Kessler. So Kessler might be one of my higher-owned centers tonight at that price point. Lauri Markkanen's FanDuel price point, I like it more than his DraftKings price point. I can see myself getting there quite a bit. And then, yeah, that's it, man. That's what I got here. Gordon Hayward came back, and a little bit of Utah narrative, if you guys love you some narratives. I think he's cheap enough at $5,300 on DraftKings that, hey, he showed us he could play 25 minutes off the rip, didn't miss a ton of time. Could this be a 30-minute game in a closer, spot against a good matchup? I think so. So if you want to buy into some narratives on top of just being in an okay spot, I think I'm getting 28, about a point per minute projection on him. So I'll get to some Hayward today. We'll have a little fun with that. Don't fish in the Trinity River. That's body dump central. Fishing bodies out there every week. God dang, bro. Bro, have you ever... I don't know. Friend went to the Trinity River. He's got a third toe now. Trinity River. Where all does that go through? Because I used to live in Huntsville, and we'd go to a town named Trinity, and I don't think that's not the same river, right? I don't know. Let's see what we got to do here. Let's do a plug here. RunDFS.com VIP memberships. If you guys want an opportunity at a really, really, really reduced membership opportunity at RunDFS.com today, as you see on the screen there, you can get 20% off any of these passes by using the coupon code JAN23. So you just saw the steps. It's real simple. So if I click VIP memberships, I look down and I see the year pass or the All-Star break. So this one's going to be not the NBA All-Star break, but it's the All-Star to All-Star. So now until the baseball All-Star break in July, comes with a $100 credit towards Fantasy Cruncher. $3.99 is the sticker price. If I click on that and it says have a coupon, I say, yeah, I got a coupon. You're typing January 23, and that 20% off is going to knock that down to $319. Or if you really want some savings, you can get over $100 off the year pass right here, which will drive it from $5.99 to $4.79, so $110 on the discount there. Plus, you kind of get a rebate of $150 if you do use Fantasy Cruncher. So really good deals there. That 20% off is still good for the week pass, 2 week pass, all that good stuff. And what that does is it unlocks this VIP portal page that'll get you access to the RunDFS.com NBA VIP Discord. After the stream, I'll be in the NBA voice chat, chilling with the homies, making my player pools, stuff like that. And then you also get access to the spreadsheets. We do have baseball coming up, 2 months now. And then I'm going to try to work with Smeezy on launching the NASCAR spreadsheet, Daytona coming up. So the advertised sports, though, NFL, NBA, baseball, but there's the guys in the Discord playing everything. Golf, we've got a golf Millie Maker winner in there, right? Yeah, ABP, and all the different sports. So you can pick a lot of brains and share some thoughts as well. Good little community. But yeah, I think the biggest distinction there is you can hang out with us in the voice chat. Let's get caught up. Lived in Texas for 2 years. The amount of Amber Alerts was crazy to me. We do get a lot of Amber Alerts. I think we just have a large population, but I think it's like it's not a regional thing. I don't know if that makes sense. Like we'll get Houston Amber Alerts in Dallas and vice versa. Like I had a McKinney Amber Alert driving to Austin yesterday. So I think it's more of just how big the population is here. So maybe it's not a perfect system, but yes, certainly a lot. And it's always just like the non-custodial parent didn't bring the kid back or something like that. Not always, but it does. Yeah. Trinity River is basically a big giant river in the middle of Dallas, but it goes deep. When coming to dumping bodies, it's mainly Dallas. Yeah, stop dumping bodies in the Trinity River, guys. Trinity River, Texas. Let me look this up. I was growing up in New York, Shark. I think what you're describing is, have you ever heard the Hudson River? Now that was a filthy river. It is the river that I used to live by in Huntsville. Okay. Is it? Let's see. Maybe. I don't know. Geography. Just want to go to Waco and meet Chip and Joe. I get that all the time. Honestly, I had no idea who those people were. Like, I never watched the show. And then, I did a poker stream once. And I mentioned that, I lived in Waco. And it didn't compute. And then somebody had left a comment and said something about Chip Gaines. And I was like, okay. There's something about, Have you met Chip Gaines? And it's a poker stream, so I was like, is he talking about gaining chips? My stack. I was like, what is he talking about? and then later it was explained, the Chip and Joanne, the whatever. So funny story, I guess. But it is something that people have drove by when I lived in McGregor, looking for like mansions that they fixed on the show and whatnot. So I don't think I've ever actually watched the show, but it is something that we're known about. Yeah, Shark. See, no idea. What part of New York are you from, Gun? Staten Island. I grew up in South Beach. I was born in Midland, and then grew up in South Beach. But I've been around. I've lived in Texas longer than I live in New York, if that means anything. Spurs at the Portland Trailblazers. Project starting five for the Spurs: Trey Jones, Romeo Langford, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, Jakob Poeltl. Am I not Poeltl enough for the Poeltl Club? Up against Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, Jeremy Grant, Yusuf Nurkic. We got 241 total. 8.5 point spread in favor of the Portland Trailblazers. Dame Dollar is on one, man. He's on one of those stretches where he's doing it all. 24, 25, 44, 40, 36. You sunk my battleship, even getting up into 40 minutes in back-to-back games. So vintage Dame going on right now. And at 10.1K tonight, he gets the worst defense in all of basketball with a 240 total. So looking really good for Damian Lillard as a high ceiling play. He's coming in for me as a top 4 raw fantasy point projection guy. And out of the top 4, he is the cheapest in price. So it does make me like him quite a bit. I think everyone on the Blazers projects pretty decently. Points per dollar. I can even get to Simons. I can get to Josh Hart. Grant, Nurkic, same. But I think Dame stands out. I think I'll have all 5 of the starting 5 Blazers in my player pool. I don't know how I'm going to achieve. I don't think I'm going to worry too much about the correlation in terms of setting rules. I think I'll just cap them at 3, right? I think that's probably what we do. No more than 3 Blazers in the lineup and go from there. If we want some Spurs, Keldon Johnson is going to lead the team in usage, right? Do we do anything with the Spurs with any bit of confidence? Let's put Keldon on. Let's take off Devin Vassell. From the Bronx, but I'm in North Kakalaki. Bro, I love New York to death. I do. I absolutely adore the people, the spirit of New York. But living in Texas versus living in New York, man, it's so less stressful, so much cheaper. So I wish I could have the best of both worlds. I think my boy Terry, he lives in Jersey, a little quieter, and he gets to just commute there for like Yankee games. That's probably the dream. Gotta eat Popeyes. Hey man, Popeyes chicken is effing awesome. Tampa, Florida, paradise on earth. Yeah, that's a good one. Shaolin in Queens, but so yeah, it'd be everywhere. Wu-Tang. Trey Jones about a fantasy point per minute. Keldon Johnson same, but the usage is Keldon Johnson and then everybody else. I took off Vassell. I don't know why it's still there, but so no warm and fuzzies on any of the Spurs in this split here. If Jakob Poeltl delivered at 6,200 on DK, I wouldn't be stunned. But I just think this rotation here is a little too wide and diverse for me to be super interested in anyone. So I'm pretty much give me some Blazers and we'll move on with our life. We only have one game left on the docket, so I guess we should do a PrizePicks plug. And maybe we'll even look for some PrizePicks plays. If you guys are not on PrizePicks, you should get on PrizePicks. And you should use code GUNDACKER when you do it. Because then they show me some love. And then everybody's getting some love. And then you guys get some love for using my name. Because they'll double your first deposit up to $100. And you can go go out there and grind some, not just NBA, but you can get into some NFL action, some college basketball, some hockey, soccer, CSGO, some esports, tennis is going on, and you can be the only dude on in your Discord with the tennis, CSGO, NBA, NFL first half $500 winning ticket. That's my favorite thing about them. If you are wondering hey man, what's different? What can I do on PrizePicks that I can't do elsewhere? I think for me the biggest the biggest advantage I like, or my favorite stuff to attack on PrizePicks, are twofold. One, the NBA first half props, getting in on some of those games that were a little bit trepidatious for in a big slate for like tonight. The Bucks 11-point favorites, worried about a blowout, worried about playing. Well, hey, we can still get all of the first half equity and go after that. So I do like the fact that they do offer first half props for points, PRA, fantasy score. I like that quite a bit. And then the fact that they offer fantasy score is something I also appreciate quite a bit, because it is linear to FanDuel scoring, and I already had a projection model built out for FanDuel fantasy points. So those are my two favorite point of attacks. Maybe you guys can get on that. But they also offer a lot of other unique stuff that you don't get everywhere. Free throws made is a fun one, and then adding some of the individual stats, the blocks and steals, the points, rebounds, points, assists, rebounds, assists, stuff like that. So a little something to carve in and get access to. Yeah, okay. I want to make sure that song was still on the right list. So check them out. And then they support the stream. They help keep these streams free for you guys. Shout out to PrizePicks. I think Chip and them moved and went big time and are not in Waco anymore, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I can promise you the Trent River can run with any river body dump like the Hudson. I think the Hudson River is, not just bodies, but it's like just filthy from all the boats and pollution and all that. So you wouldn't want to eat fish in that river anyway, Grizzlies at the Kings. Your main event tonight: Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., Steven Adams up against De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis. Any of you guys just look up and say, yo, he didn't do the Steven Adams bit? I don't know if I slipped into a... Let me switch that. I'm not sure. I don't want to slip into a DMCA playlist on accident and get in trouble. What up, Travis? How are you? I hope you're doing all right. He wants to see First 48 Dallas. Come on now. First 48 is like the most unintentionally funny show out there, bro. I'll be watching that and just be cracking up with my homies. So 246.5 total. That's a lot of points and just a 1.5 point spread. That means this game should be something we should all take note on. And just going back to that player projections tab, Ja Morant 5th in raw point projection, and kind of the same statement I made with Dame. He's the cheapest of the top 5 in raw points. $9,700 gets into the single digits in terms of commas after the first digit. So Ja Morant's looking like a really good opportunity to lead. One, be a top 5 scorer in the slate in fantasy points, and two, just perhaps lead the slate in fantasy points. Hasn't broken 50 fantasy points since the San Antonio Spurs game on January 11th. But if you look at this stretch here, at Phoenix, at LA, and that game was just weird. Cleveland, tougher defense. I do think that parlayed with the fact that his team is kind of healthy, right? With Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks back. Yeah, there's going to be more vulturing between them to be done. So it's not a lock that Ja Morant's going to come out here and drop 50+. But I do think, considering the matchup, it's certainly an opportunity that I want to be invested in. And if he stays under like 20% or something like that, I certainly want to be invested on him. So I like him. All of the Grizzlies here are in play. I think Ja Morant stands out as probably my favorite to get exposure to. Dylan Brooks under 5K, getting close to a 30 fantasy point projection, makes sense. Desmond Bane is probably the more uncomfortable click of the starting 5 for me, just because between 7 and 8K, need that 40 plus, and then just don't know that that's going to drop as consistently as I want it in this spot. And Jaren Jackson's also priced through the gills here, 7 to 8K. I need the 40 plus there, and I don't know if that's something that is going to land a ton here. So John Morant is probably the guy I get to the most, and then 5,900 for Steven Adams might fall into my back pocket. But I do think at that price point, mention how much I do like Walker Kessler's price. So I probably get to Kessler way like out of 5 times, like 4 out of 5 times more than I get to Adams. But I wouldn't fault you for getting Adams. On the Kings side, Fox, Sabonis, and then we had that weird spike game out of Keegan Murray. This at the top of the stream, we talked about unstoppable force, immovable object. We're talking one of the best offenses against one of the best defenses. Defensive efficiency, the Grizzlies have the best defensive rating in basketball, and the Kings have the second best offensive rating in basketball. So what's going to give here? I think the Grizzlies defense has been pretty stout so far. So I think I just attack the usage spots, trust the Vegas total, and go from there. And I think it's Sabonis, Fox, John Morant as the 3 marquee guys that I want to get to. That Keegan Murray game, I don't know that it's going to happen if he lines up with Jaren Jackson as much. But he's coming off a 29 real point game against OKC. Really, really good matchup. And Curtin called against a more relatable spot here with just 23 fantasy points. So I think it's pretty safe to point at that 51, look at his body of work and say that's kind of an outlier. But at 4,400, I understand if you had some thought to get there. But give me Sabonis, give me Fox, give me Morant, and then maybe we spin the wheel on these tertiary guys, the supplementary guys. But that's more so because of how really high this total is. I mean, is that the highest of the year? 246? I feel like it could be. Do we think some value will open up? Yeah, there's always opportunity for news to float in. As far as value goes, as is, I think we have an okay amount of value. I do think if we lose like a Killian Hayes, I could get into the Alec Burks. I think Peyton Pritchard looks like an okay value. Some of these other guys at the top, Keegan Murray's up there. But as far as like guys that can 10x, right now I'm not that enthralled. But I don't know. Like I think it just means that I don't get to a ton of Giannis. I feel like we've got enough to work with. But yes, I do think any NBA slate these days, but especially one with this many games, will potentially open up some. My mom lives in Long Island. I heard you got more taxes living in New York. Is that true? I live in VA. Comparative to other states, yeah. I think straight up yes, because they have state taxes and like my state doesn't. But as far as like specific tax or percentage, I couldn't speak to that. I'm not really sure. Here, what up, Vic? Hope you're doing all right. Kind of new to PrizePicks. What do you think I should pick tonight? We could look at some of that. Press the like. Yo, we didn't even mention the like button. 42 likes. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but this is making my Fortnite content. Find out that if you hit the like button, you get a random color. You could have blue, yellow, blue, purple, a rainbow. So if you guys want to figure out what your color is today, click the thumbs up and watch it light up, and then tell me what color you got. It's fun. Shout out to YouTube for implementing that. PrizePicks. So maybe we should try and come up with a few PrizePicks. Like Mark Williams. I don't really have a reason to be on Mark Williams other than that it looks like he jumped. Was it Nick Richards in the depth chart? I guess at 3,100 on DraftKings, sure, but no reason to be there, especially. Gonna win some Dollar Tree monies. Let's go. Okay, so for PrizePicks, let's see if we can find 3. So What was the spot where we can point at and say this opportunity might happen because of an injury? Do we have? I guess we don't have that one. What's Kessler's fantasy points on PrizePicks? I got him for 33. The top matchup, Walker, Kessler, Ranger. He's at 32. So it's literally right where my projection's at. That's unfortunate. And then the Spurs side, or Spurs game, I have Dame for 52. I'm sure they probably went like 48 or something. 49.5. Wow, our projections are so close. I don't know, chat. Did you guys have some favorite calls on PrizePicks set up already? I have to go game by game here. Celtics. Do we get a Peyton Pritchard line for? Probably not, right? Let's go Boston. Just who do they offer? I guess you could. I guess if you had a hunch on like LaMelo right now, like I feel like there's a good chance LaMelo misses. He's just not listed. So Rozier is at. We don't have a fantasy prop on Rozier. 23.5 points is interesting, I would say, on Rozier. DeJounte Murray over 20.5 points. I can get down with that. So I guess if you thought that LaMelo Ball is closer to out than in, and I personally do, there's 240 total. If the Hornets are gonna, put up 100 plus, does that mean Terry Rozier dropped 25, 28? I think it's possible. So maybe that's something I can jump on from a hunch this far out. Ja's officially questionable. That just happened, and so is Adams. Good call. That's a really good call. Whoever asked at the top of the stream, was that you? Somebody had asked if Ja and Adams would miss this game, and I was like, well, I don't see anything on that, but now there is. So now with that news, fudge. Are we gonna have a Tyus Jones night? Midday questionables are usually tricky, and I usually lean and brace for them to be out. God dang, Tyus Jones is 4,300 on DraftKings. Fudge. There's your value. If Adams was down, I guess that would open up Brandon Clark quite a bit. Is Clark even listed? He is. 1.5 free throws made. That's the only Brandon Clark line? That's funny. Do we have Tyus props? We don't. I don't. Kessler over 11 points. I could get down with that. If we wanted to isolate because of the Hornets being so bad against centers. 4 shot attempts against Brooklyn. Brooklyn a little bit more stringent on defense with Claxton and Ben Simmons than the Hornets have been. So, matter of fact, looking at the team metrics chart, points in the paint allowed. Charlotte, it's above average matchup. Honestly, not as high as I thought it was, but I think it's still a good enough spot with that implied total. So I can get down with the Kessler 11.5 over. Is there any good places to look for very accurate prize picks, like projections? There's several of them. Jones 80% owned. So I will say I don't think we're going to get definitive Ja Morant news by lock. And since that's the very last game on the slate, we may not have that news until halfway through the slate. So I don't know that the field's going to make that stance or make that investment from this far out. It's possible. If Ja Morant was just ruled out now, yes. But the fact that he just became questionable at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I don't know that the ownership spikes there. But midday cues, I tend to lean closer to out. Gonna have to get into this PrizePicks thing. I might have been missing out. I think you are, sorry. I think it's one of the things we're doing the research anyway. You might as well isolate a couple of picks that you're on. And for me, it's more of a, supplement or replace what I used to do in cash, right? Years ago, play cash games. Cash games are a lot harder now. So putting some 2-pick PrizePicks into the air. And one thing PrizePicks does pretty well quite often is they allow you or they offer like Taco Tuesday. We'll talk about that tomorrow, where they have some discounted props. They have something up for NFL this week. So for like one of these days, it don't have to be tonight, but if you see some prop on any sport that you feel like is a lock of the century, like if we thought John Morant was out, do we think Dylan Brooks points now? What is Dylan? Not Dylan Brooks. Desmond Bane. I guess Dylan Brooks too. Oh, they pulled all the props off, huh? No, they did. Yeah, Memphis has been off the. So I don't know if they're gonna pull Memphis off the board right now, just based on this news. I don't know if they're gonna adjust and bring it back. But let's say because of what that total is, and we'll see if the spread moves. That's another clue that we can move in on, because they were 1.5 point favorites. So if we start seeing that move, I would imagine now the Kings would become favorites without 2 of their 5 starters, the head and tail. So if that happens, then maybe it might be more. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. more reason to lean like they're going to be out. But anyway, what I was getting at is because of the Joe Burrow prop. So if you find something tonight or in the coming days that you feel like is the lock of the century, you can pair it with the Joe Burrow prop. They usually have like a $20, $25 max on it, and take advantage of it. So you could play it pretty smart. A lot of people just get reckless and go parlay crazy. If you can prevent yourself from doing that, you can make some scratch. Sengun over 5.5 assists, says Travis. Okay, let's get behind with that. So let's go look at the numbers here. If you guys have seen some PrizePicks content, it is really bad. Not all of it, but some of it is really, really bad. Like they'll just look at how many assists this guy has got in the last 5 games, 10 games, or DVP or StatMuse the match. I was like, man, that's rough. That's so flimsy. But Sengun just typically right now on the season a 17.5% assist rate. We take off Kevin Porter. Does that do anything for you? 22% assist rate. So the line is 5.5 assists. All right, that's not crazy. And if Gobert was in, maybe that ushers a few more passes. 7, 6, 6, 6, 7. I can get behind that. I think the minutes right now is what I'm having troubles trusting. Right, 37-minute Sengun has been like something I've dreamed about for years, and now it's like here. I don't know what to do with my hands, and I feel like any game now it's gonna go right back down to 28 minutes for no reason. But I think that's a good call, Travis. Tyus will pay out 4,300 even if Ja plays, so I'm locking him in. I think Ja out in back-to-back. I think that's fair. Does it look like there's any guarantees for PrizePicks? Guarantees. That's a word I wouldn't use. All right, so here's one we can maybe brace for. Let's go to Detroit. Take off Killian Hayes. I don't know, man. I just got this. I feel like Alec Burks is going to be a guy I go crazy with tonight, and it might get me in trouble. I don't think would Burks be offered? He's not. Unfortunately, some of these spots that I want to take advantage of PrizePicks is sharp enough to prevent me from being able to do so. But guarantees is probably a tough word. I am in on Walker Kessler. The 11-point prop over is probably something I would get to pretty heavily. Like I said, I think Brooklyn's front court defense with Nick Claxton, Ben Simmons, I think they're scrappy. So that's probably going to be one of my favorites is the Kessler real points. I think their fantasy point projection is really, really close to mine. So I'll take that one. Is there a rebound prop for Grayson Allen? Wow. We can look at it. Yikes, what am I typing? Rebounds for Grayson, no. They do give you points and rebounds, and essentially if their point prop is 9.5, they're implying them for 4 rebounds in that split, so kind of, but no. One of those guys I don't really get much action on. Oh man, that trips me out. Hey, a reminder, guys, 20% off every VIP membership today. Coupon code JAN24, JAN, or 23 rather, JAN23. So you can get that year pass down to under $500. And then you can 20% off any of the week passes. All you gotta do, click what you want. Probably get into the MLB All-Star break, man. That'll get you a good taste of all the stuff that we got. Jan23, boom, brings it down to $319. Plus, you get $100 towards Fantasy Cruncher. It's only for those of you watching the stream. We might tweet that one out. We haven't tweeted the last couple 20%ers. We might tweet that one out. So, if you want to take advantage of that, after the stream, I'll be in the Discord. Usually for about the 2 hours before lock, I'm hanging out in the voice chat, making the player pool, sweeping projections, and then sometimes that bleeds into post-lock. Jibber jabber. And then I guess now, if you guys got any questions, comments, concerns, I got time, and we're chilling, so we can attack some stuff, and then I'll try to get you out of here in the next 10 minutes or so. I like Kessler plus 11 rebounds more than points. Who do you like for Utah? For DFS or for PrizePicks? For DFS, I love Walker Kessler on DraftKings at that $5,800 price point. Markkanen's appropriately priced, but I love the total for them, and I expect him to lead them in points if they're going to live up to a high total. I mean, that's pretty much it. Everyone else is like in the pool, but that's it. You said over on Kessler tonight? Yeah, and I'm a Kessler sucker tonight. I like his point prop the most. I think if you thought he was just going to have a really good night, fantasy points would give you a lot of outs because of his potential to go grab a ton of blocks, and this being one of the better blocks per game matchups. But his projection on PrizePicks is very close to mine. So I don't really have like a favorite individual one, but if you wanted to throw a net over anything Walker Kessler, I think it's fair to attack his fantasy points. But I also think the real point prop is a good one to attack too at 11. Been going over his rebound prop on sportsbooks because Giannis was out. That's why I asked. It's been a cash cow for me. Oh, because Giannis was out for Grayson. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they would offer for rebounds, but not only is Giannis in, so is Middleton, right? Kessler over 2 free throws. I'd probably stick to points. Who do you like if Morant and Adams are out? So let's go do a on-off court too. I think Jaren Jackson's per minute stuff goes up. My only reservation with Jaren Jackson tonight would be his potential foul proneness against a guy like Sabonis. But sometimes you got to throw the risk in the win. That's why we played Naz Reid at 70%. So let's put Jackson and Brooks on. I guess Bane as well. I like Bane more than Brooks. I don't know what it is, but Not a big sample. We can go to the beginning of last year. Basically the same everything. I think Adams Adams just doesn't miss, so we're not getting minute sample size at all. And the usage is pretty close. So let's go back to this season, and then I'm gonna not force it to tell me Adams on or off, because Adams not really that involved offensively. He's just a rebound machine. So with Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane on, John Morant off, Jaren Jackson has a 21% usage rate, but has been a 1.3 fantasy point per minute producer on DraftKings, while Desmond Bane goes to 30%. And that's something that's a little bit more actionable for maybe our point props, if you guys have that hunch that Ja's going to be out. And then Tyus Jones has a 28% assist rate. So another guy that can set up some shots for Bane. So I guess what I would say is Jaren Jackson Jr. and perhaps more specifically Desmond Bane. Right now, if you told me John Morant and Adams were down, obviously Tyus Jones, but Desmond Bane for real points would probably be what I'm looking for. I would imagine. All right, this news has been out long enough, right? So let's go see if we have line movement. Doesn't Milwaukee have an issue with listing people problem, and then they're all of a sudden out? A problem. Okay, let's see. Memphis. So now the Kings are 2.5 point favorites. So Memphis was minus 1.5. So that's decent enough line movement that kind of shows me that they think one of those two are going to be out. And I think Ja is a guy that would move that needle a little bit more than Steven Adams. So I think the line move is enough for me to kind of brace for it. Like that's almost a 5-point swing in is that FanDuel? So they went from 2.5. No, they went from 1.5 to so it's 4-point swing. Okay. Well, we'll see what they bring it back on board as, and then just to brace for it. I think Desmond Bane would be the guy that has to put up all the real points. Desmond Bane points by game log without John Morant last 10 games. 24, 32, 20. I'm assuming their line's going to be like 24.5 just to troll us. But it's a good spot. KJ Martin over 22.5 PRA. All right. Clark, yeah, Brandon Clark will look really good for DFS. The Grizzly stack is going to look insane, especially since the total is still in the 240s. It's become much more reasonable. Fiscally. Right? Hey, chat, you do me a favor, check two things. One, if you're watching, you're lurking, if that subscribe button's red and clickable, click it. And if while you're there, could you look at that thumbs up button? If you can click on that too. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to head over to the rundfs.com NBA Discord. You guys can jump in there. Don't forget that 20% off coupon. Tomorrow we have wow, it's a Tuesday slate tomorrow. 2, 4, 6, 7 game slate tomorrow. This is real life. And then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 games. 2, 4, 6 games. Yeah, we're gonna stream every day this week, chat. Hold me to it. Every day at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. This should be a fun week of slates. A fun week. I don't think Bane has played in a back-to-back yet. Well, that would be really significant. Well, I feel like that would... the 8th and the 9th, Utah and San Antonio. So he has. But that is something to watch. Because clearly, the John Morant, Steven Adams news wasn't that prevalent this morning. Anyway, guys. So we'll be back tomorrow afternoon if you're not going to be in the Discord. 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. Chopping it up. I appreciate you guys hanging with my voice. I'll be on Twitter, twitter.com/Gundacker. That's it. Yeah. Hey, tell somebody you love them. I love you. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.